Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another season of the Crusade, Season 2, on the beautiful, beautiful night of Christmas Eve. How festive. I don't have a festive screen. I don't have... The Lighthouse should have a Christmas hat, but it doesn't have it. It's,
Happy Snakemas.
no. Yes, just imagine the Lighthouse having a Christmas hat, and it will be super duper festive.
Happy Shadowmas.
No.
Yeah.
These aren't holidays. We're here with a bunch of heathens this evening. One of which being the totally good and honourable Saladrin of the followers of Set, and the most pious, although I have come to doubt this within the last 5 seconds due to prior statements made, Lady Irene Argeri of the Clan of Shadows. Who has been sent to contact Saladrin from within Edessa and notify him that the prince has received word of his capacity to translate tablets of note or items of note, and would like to meet him.
Woof, woof.
Bork.
Right.
Little puppy.
Okay, so Irene will
Shoot.
get her carriage prepared and will hop, clop, cloppity clop over to the establishments of Saladrin.
Saladrin will be waiting outside of his establishment. He is dressed for the evening, including his brand new I'm clearly an Assamite costume. Clearly an Assamite, hashtag clearly an Assamite.
Irene's going to judge him.
I accept it. Standing next to him, there's a kind of a hulking brute that appears to be all muscle and beard, covered in interwoven tattoos, who has a large axe in both of his hands. On an added character note, Chris, I'm just going to bring Combat Ghoul. Yay, Combat Ghoul! He has a name, but fuck if I can remember it.
Okay.
But when the carriage approaches, Saladrin will incline his head, just be like, yes.
And I'm sure that whoever is driving, who is not drunk, is going to open the door for the carriage to allow Saladrin to get in. Though he will look dubiously at this ghoul guy. Is he going to be in the carriage too? You can see him doubting whether that is a good idea.
He can walk behind the carriage. Or he can sit on the back of the carriage, because there's generally a little place for luggage.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is acceptable.
Saladrin, for his part, has a number of scrolls with him, kind of tucked under his arm, as well as a large leather-bound book. He will hand off these accoutrements to the ghoul, who will place them in a satchel bag, and he will step into the carriage.
Okay. Yeah, Irene, who cannot curtsy because she is sitting in the carriage, will incline her head. Good evening, says Saladrin.
Pleasure to see you again, my lady. And such an auspicious evening.
You seem to be dressed for adventure.
When one goes into the wild places, even if the wild places between here and there do not stretch on forever, it is best for one to be prepared.
I see. Very thoughtful. I've never encountered any trouble on the road to Timeraan, but I guess one can, in times like these, not be prepared enough.
Quite so. Shall we be on our way, my lady, so as not to waste any of the evening?
Of course. And, she'll just tap on the roof of the carriage and clippity-clap, clap, clippity-clap. They will move. And I'll leave it to Chris to describe the roads because he knows that better than I do. Also, he's ST. It's his job to describe.
Not as if I described it half a dozen times. Pay attention. So the roads are actually well paved out. It was a big project over a year ago. So the roads are actually quite smooth. And there is little risk of crime or being attacked on the way. The roads are well maintained and generally well guarded. And it doesn't take you very long to make your way to Timeraan, which is a large walled town.
Is Edessa bigger?
Pardon?
Yes.
Is
Edessa
Edessa
is
bigger?
Edessa is significantly larger, yeah. Timeraan is less a city more than it is a large town, but walled and sitting by a river, so its growth has been fairly rapid. Like Edessa, sitting along by or very close to the Silk Road, as well as having a fresh water source flowing right next to it, has made it quite a profitable lively place to be. But it is much more humble than Edessa. It doesn't have the extreme architectures of Justinopolis Mount or the Marble Tower. The only thing that really sticks out is Timeraan is built around a hill. Once you enter the city gates, the city slowly slopes upwards towards not the center, but the northish center. There rests a large fortress / castle. I can get it up for you real quick. Something like that. Far less western though. You make your way up this large, long slope. Again, not too unfamiliar. It's a similar experience as to when you go up Justinopolis Mount. You make your way up to this castle, this fortress. I think fortress is a more apt term instead. You make your way up, and you make your way into the main courtyard. There's a myriad of checks, checkpoints, guards. The closer you get up through the center, up past the slope, there's a few districts connect to the slope, which appear to be the equivalent of the nobles district, where the wealthiest of the citizens live, closest to the fortress. And once you make your way up, The carriage is turned turns around to the small the steps that lead up to the main entrance. And a steward is waiting outside for you. Irene, you recognize him.
Okay.
He's a very frequent face. He's approached and introduced and catered to you numerous times before.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we'll get out and curtsy to this individual, wait for Saladin to get out as well.
Saladin stands out of the carriage. He will snap his fingers and hold his hand up, just for his bag to be handed down to him. He brought the ghoul expressly to hold his bag. Because he did.
Because why not?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you do that. Ghoul is, needless to say, completely compliant and well behaved. Perhaps not necessarily gracious. It's not really their forte, but well behaved. The steward, who appears to be a middle-aged man, older middle age, entering 50s, approaches you both.
And Irene will ask him if he would be kind enough to bring them to the prince, because he is expecting them.
And he says, "Of course, my lord's right this way." And he leads you down a few corridors. The fortress itself looks a lot nicer on the inside than on the outside. It appears that this is some combination of military installation and palace, but not significant enough to be considered either. Because the town itself is too small, it's not a city, it wouldn't have something so refined. So it appears to be a hybrid of the two. And you largely avoid the more militant, the more utilitarian sections of the fortress, largely heading down the more elegant corridors and halls, or I should just say corridors. Until you go up another flight of stairs, and you find yourselves in front of two large doors. Irene, you recognize these as the doors to the main plaza where Elysium has been held within Timeraan for a very long period of time.
Oh dear.
And by long period of time, I mean a year, because this domain has more or less existed for a year.
Yep. She will stop for a moment and look at these doors, and it's almost as if she's sighing. And then she'll knock on the doors.
Oh, we actually have to go into Edessa's court. Oh, interesting. Continue. Or Timaraan's court, rather. I can bring.
Yep.
Yes, Bishop Deed.
I do not know.
No, I am undead.
God.
When you enter, 1 second, does that need tell me to get this right? There are 2 figures. Okay. There is the the Prince Ulrich, formerly known as Baron Ulrich of Edessa, but now Prince of his own domain, full and proper. And then there is a smaller woman. Dark hair, Arabic skin, reddish eyes. Her skin is actually it's a very dark complexion. And she has this sort of reddish tint in her eyes. They kind of look somewhat maroon.
Get to the Aethelite.
And she's simply lounging on a seat next to the prince, looking quite biting her lip in a sort of entertained fashion, whereas the prince himself stands a bit more, or rather is sitting but will stand somewhat formally. Both dressed in noble gowns of various bright colours to signify their rank and status both within canine society and mortal society. And they both approach.
Yeah, Irene will curtsy. My prince, my lady, I would like to bring before you Sir Soladrin of the clan of Seth.
He will walk forward and give a respectful bow before waiting to be addressed.
The woman leans more than she does bow. It's slight, but she has a rather calm, contented look on her face. The prince is bows with a bit of with a degree more grace or respect, depending on how you want to interpret it. Good evening to you both. Welcome to my domain. I presume you are... Oh no, you won't say that because you literally just introduced.
Hey, I know my etiquette.
Yep, been reminded enough times. And he will go to shake Saladrin's hand.
Extend his hand and shake back.
The prince has a very heavy grip to him.
Solodrin is purposefully playing. He's purposely not gripping anywhere near as hard as he could. Let's phrase it like that. So he will come off the quote unquote weaker of the two in the handshake.
Yeah. Yeah, the prince doesn't grip you. He doesn't necessarily grip you particularly hard. Or to any extent that it might cause pain or even discomfort. It's just somewhat heavy and forceful, but not in an intentionally aggressive way. A pleasure to finally meet you. This is my seneschal, formerly my harpy, just a short time ago. Lady Talifa of Fibanu Hakim.
The Zetite will acknowledge the Assamite with his eyes flicking up. His eyes ever so slightly narrow, like grrr, grrr. But he won't say anything.
They're everywhere. Why are they everywhere?
But they are.
My goddamn cockroaches, just supposed to be a lovely meeting with a good old-fashioned prince, and then they have to go stinking up the place by existing. Almost as bad as the Tremere. But nothing really is at the end of the day, so. Yeah, the prince just goes, please sit. Might I interest you all in some beverages?
Solodrin will raise his hand and say, "No, thank you, but I humbly, on behalf of me, myself, and my clan, accept your hospitality as offered, Your Highness."
Well, we're most thankful. But please sit. We have much to discuss, and I'd like to know if your journey was a safe one. The roads between Edessa and Timeraan tend to be more stable than others along the Silk Road. Still, I hope you did not encounter any trouble on the way there.
He kind of looks to Irene like, blink, 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 blink.
Our journey went well without any special encounters. It was quite lovely. It's nice nights.
It is a fine Christmas Eve, although I must admit I do miss the French snow.
I've never seen them.
I suppose it is akin to a far gentler sandstorm. But with flakes of ice instead. He will take a seat.
It is a pleasure to meet your seneschal as well, Prince Ulrich.
Oh, well, I'm happy to hear that. I believe we did briefly meet once.
We did, yes, at one of the Alicia, but Prince Ulrich had not informed me. He had told me he had a new seneschal, but not who yet. So it is nice to see that it is a familiar face.
Well, thank you, Irene. I must say it is a refreshing change of pace after a century of harpying. It doesn't get old very quickly, but I can assure you it does.
At some point, I would like to have a talk. Perhaps you can give me some advices.
Maybe in a century you'll be a seneschal after being a harpy too.
I cannot look into the future. Who knows?
No, but it can be arranged.
Blink, blink. What? Harry looks a little puzzled at that. It can be arranged. To be a harpy, I am sure that's a seneschal. I'm sure that can be arranged if I play my cards well and assist the courts that I serve right now. Gazing into the future is something that I will leave to others.
Can't Irene literally gaze into the future?
Irene, can't she?
That's kind of something she can do. I'm not sure why she's saying she can't do that.
Irene, do you want me to roll up the future again?
I feel like you should, considering
Yeah,
that's
I was
actually kind of a thing.
fair
Considering
enough.
that is
I was
kind of
actually
your
making
thing.
I actually made that remark and I was like, wait, what am I saying? I really can look into the future.
Yeah,
Fuck
I'm
this.
like, I can't look into the future. No, she can. She can literally do that.
Well, that was how my thought process went. I was not paying attention to what words came out of my mouth. And I will pay for it. Manipulation subterfuge. God damn it.
And this is how Irene dies, by botching her subterfuge in front of an Asimite seneschal.
Only one success.
Okay,
So,
she's gonna roll those social dice, and
oh boy.
being a former harpy, she's probably terrible at this.
Yeah. Just botch,
Yeah,
please.
there's nothing can actually go wrong here. I mean, she got 5 successes. It's fine.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, empathy is a lie detector. But
Uh-huh.
you can see how your statement just seems so
Irene's statement seems to
awkward.
confuse herself. Shall we keep it at that?
I
Because her
shall
question was
believe
stupid.
the gazing into the future for others. Yes. Yes, might tilt her head ever so slightly. Is she just says, "Oh, Irene,
Mhm.
you alone give me reason to invest in Edessan politics."
Really? I did not know I made such an impact.
And that is part of the reason why.
Well, I think with what is going down in the region, I, I feel everyone is paying attention to Edessa's politics right now.
Oh yes, and to have a new acquaintance as she looks to Saladrin.
So
And a
Saladrin is
young
also,
neonate at the center of such politics is
of course
so
not.
incredibly theatrical.
Saladrin will cross his legs and he will say, "Indeed. Think about it like this. The young neonate who shows such aptitude, perhaps it would take her 100 years to climb a single rung of the ladder."
You lagged that a little bit. I wasn't able to catch all of it.
Nope.
He said, "A young neonate, perhaps it won't take her a century." A young neonate abroad in such politics, perhaps it won't take her a century to rise, but a single rung upon the ladder.
I'm sure she'll do very well for herself. As you have.
So Saladrin has indeed, in the few months that he has been in Edessa, he has been appointed as the new Keeper of Elysium.
A shame my new duties forbade me from visiting as much. Alas, what do the Europeans say? C'est la vie.
Perhaps one day, who knows? As far as I can tell, Edessa won't change overnight.
She looks rather blankly at both of you. Yes, I'm sure this prince will last longer than the last one. I'm sure you'll both be hoping to do the same.
All things are the blink of an eye. If you stare too long at something, surely it will fade.
Or it could just blink. Anyhow, I believe I've dragged this conversation wildly off topic, as I always do. I believe there is business to be discussed. Quite right. The prince just kind of passively observing the conversation and witnessing the tension and just not having the energy to really muster a reaction. Simply goes on. I've heard Keeper Saladrin that you had decoded a very specific item on display at your former competitor's art exhibits.
There was no need to decode what was easy to read if one knew the words.
I'm fascinated as to how you acquired the knowledge of such an ancient language. It must have taken a great deal of time to master.
My clan remember such things. You simply say, I speak several languages that have been lost to time.
A useful niche. I myself, as I'm sure you're aware at this point, have one of these tablets in my possession. I would too, if at all possible and at your earliest convenience, to have a translation from that one.
I would, of course, have to see the item in question.
That can be arranged. It would take a few days. You could save the time quite as he thinks on a word which is totally not the ST looking for a word. Guarded as to how I treat such an ancient and fragile relic of sorts.
I would then assume that you have not had the full translation done of the item in question.
No.
A more important question then, Your Highness, is I can translate it without difficulty, assuming it is written in the same dialect as the previous one. Considering it appears to be almost like pages of a diary, I have no doubt it will be. But he contemplates and he says, do you wish to know what is written on it? Do you wish to know its words?
I would like the most accurate translation possible. Word for word. The closer to the as closest to the original as can be. Although I do understand that the language written is very much different from modern tongues.
Very well then. You understand the possession of the information upon this tablet is dangerous.
I've known as such for a significant period of time. And I've taken the prerequisite precautions.
He smiles. And there is only... Sorry. He will do that very set-eyed smile, and he'll say, then there is only the matter of my fee. Snake gonna snake. In exchange for a perfectly written and rendered copy of what it is that is written upon those pages, I will request two minor services of you, Your Highness. One, that I be allowed to keep a written copy for myself. That is agreeable?
I'd permit you to keep a copy, yes.
And also, such a trivial little thing, but something of no doubt great value. For my time and effort and the fact that I will have to stay in Timeraan until such point as the item is returned. A minor boon.
There is a moment of consideration.
Owed not to me, you understand. No, no. Owed to my honoured Primogen and the lady of snakes of Edessa. Insert her name here. For the usage of my services, for without her I have not eyes to see or tongue to speak.
Forgive me then for interrupting, but if she were the one able to perform this service, then the offer would be directed towards her. Or is this a skill she too possesses? Or would you rather have us propose this offer towards her rather than yourself?
It is just a simple matter of clerical accounting. If needs be, you may issue the boon to me, and I may transfer it to her, but it would mean so much more to us for it to come from Prince Ulrich directly. And as I said, in exchange, I will write you verbatim what it says, and not only that, I will also tell you what the other one I have said reads. Because Solomon does have that committed to memory.
Mm. I would be happy to owe you a minor boon for you the one providing this service to me, but I would stipulate that it not be transferable. That is not something I have an interest in indulging.
He will smile. As you say, Your Highness, I would not seek to argue with my host in the home of my host.
Oh no, we are both all civil individuals here. So, for the purposes of clarification, and so that there is no confusion later down the line, because it would not be the first time a conflict over boons would occur because there was miscommunication. Auric says as if he has had to deal with this through almost as if he were a clerk doing paperwork. Like, fuck, I don't want to deal with that shit. Um, a minor boon owed to yourself. A non-transferable minor boon owed to yourself, Solodrin, Keeper of Edessa. Is that acceptable to you for the services that you'll provide?
100%.
Very well. And both the harpy of your domain can bear witness to this and record these statements and the transactions made, and so may my seneschal. As for the subject of this transaction, I shall have it ready within 48 hours. As I said, I am quite guarded regarding this particular item. And there will be some basic precautions in place, nothing that you'll have to do. Rather, it is things that none of us should be doing with the item in question. Again,
Very well.
safety precautions more so than anything else. But this will not impact your ability to translate the item.
Sorry, what did he say? I didn't quite hear him.
He said in reference to the precautions that he's talking about, they won't impact Saladrin's ability to translate.
He will not. He will say, in that case, with your permission, Your Highness, I will remain a guest in your domain until such time as the item arrives.
Of course, if you do not already have a haven arranged, I can arrange one for you.
I would be most grateful if you would be so kind, Your Highness.
Of course.
Makes a mental note I should buy a house in Timeraan.
I'll have you a haven within VR. Feel free to enjoy the place in the meantime. That is all, however, I must, me and my seneschal must take my leave to see to such matters.
Many blessings of the evening be upon you, Your Highness. Noble Judge and Seneschal.
Sir Soladrin, if you like, I can either give you a tour of the palace or of the gardens. They're quite lovely.
I would be rather delighted.
Then, yeah, as they're waiting for the arrangements to be made for housing, Irene will show Soladrin the palace. Not a certain what's it called? Like, there's one thing she will not point out in the palace. And I forgot the name, mosaic. She will not point that out.
It was a curtain over the mosaic.
Oh, nice! Finally, they were made specifically for that purpose. Very good. And she'll show him the gardens, although she'll be a little.
Oh yes.
She'll still be a little suspicious about the lake.
Saladrin, I forgot to mention this, but the ceiling is actually covered by a curtain. You can see the edges indicate that it's probably a mosaic of some sort, and the curtains are actually remarkably beautiful. Seemingly made of threaded gold.
He will contemplate and he'll say, why do you hide the mosaic? Admittedly, the curtains are lovely.
If you like, I could show you. Alright, doesn't say
No.
that.
I mean, who is he asking it? It's not Irene's hall, so I presume it's not her that she's asking this of.
No, but the mere possibility is enough to cause the tension in the air to thicken so much that you could cut it with a knife, and that is really just enough for me. We usually only have it revealed on special occasions such as Elysium.
I see. What does it depict?
He'll tell you what it depicts.
I mean, in that case, you could just fucking show it.
Is it naked Irene? It's naked Irene, isn't it?
No,
Not naked.
but I mean, it would be even better.
Wow, no.
Oh god, that'd be so good.
That would not be good.
It would be the best.
It's already awkward enough.
So it depicts. This is just to give you a description, right? This is kind of paraphrasing Auric because it's a fairly rough description, and I don't have a picture. It's basically a. It actually depicts the coastline. With Auric's two child, Irene and Adonia. Adonia reading and Irene performing some other practice. I believe it is singing, which is actually visualized within the image. As the waves lap against them both on a clear, starlit night sky. A tribute to his lineage, as it were. Irene is totally okay with this.
Irene is very much not okay with this, so you can see it.
It is, it looks beautiful and is incredibly extravagant, and no less awkward. In fact, it probably makes it more awkward for Irene.
Yep.
Auric seems to relish in her awkwardness. It's great, really. He seems to enjoy it.
Yep.
It's almost like she can do nothing about this, and it's just sitting there.
Bishop, so are we going to
mocking her?
Are we going to do a time wipe so I can read the tablet, or are we going to do that separately on a different day?
I think we'll do that off scene, but yes, it will be fast forwarded. And Irene can be there as well. The Seneschal will also be there.
Yes, please.
Death to the blood puppet. I mean, what?
So yes, as a temporary haven is arranged for Saladrin. Time will pass. He'll be taken down to what is effectively a small vault-like space, which you feel would normally be used to secure part of the town's treasury, and instead has been adapted for guarding this particular item that exists between no less than 3 vault doors, all of which, would you like to roll me intelligence occult?
I have those.
And Irene can also do that.
Yes, I have those too.
Those are dice I have. 2.
But I did not expect to roll, so I was not behind my computer. So give me a moment.
What are you doing?
Well, what do you think I'm doing?
Panicking about mosaics?
Yes.
You should be more chill, like that little white puppy in your profile pic.
Mm-hmm.
Should be like that guy. Super chill.
That puppy is pretty chill.
Yeah, puppy is like just they're out to have a nap. That's how chill he is. Okay, so Irene, you can't really tell
I know shit.
what the hell's on the walls and the doors themselves, which are also chained, barred, and then just have a lock that's built into the door itself. So it is extremely heavily. All three of these doors are extremely heavily secured, and then have strange symbols upon the walls and them that seem to be again, these symbols are joined on the doors and the walls, so they're connected. So Arjun, you can tell some pretty strenuous warding is taking place to an absolutely extreme degree. To the point where you yourself are a bit uncertain as to whether you really want to touch this door at all before the warding is cleared, because you're not sure how dangerous it is. Other than it looks very, very dangerous.
I was going to say, he has a goofy moment, where he's flung across the back of the room going, ah, wee.
Yeah, you're pretty sure that might just disintegrate your arm, but you're not sure. It might just disintegrate you. And eventually you are led to the tablet itself at the very end, which rests completely on its own. There is nothing else in the room. Once you get through the 3 doors, which then you're able to walk up to very easily. It is kept it's kept behind reinforced glass. And the box itself is also extremely heavily warded. But you're able to translate just fine. And I think with that is where we can end our scene.
I was going to say, he is going to say that he would like to pick it up.
That is one of the precautions you are warned about.
Can I do it at my own peril?
The prince's only response is no.
Damn it.
It's very, very to the point.
Oh, okay, cool. I do have to ask that, does being in its presence trigger my oracular ability?
We'll do that after the scene.
Okay. Bye, people.
As translation is made, and all these super secret things will happen on Christmas Eve, the day of
Happy Snakes.
the day of Krampus, or the day before Krampus.
You do strike me as somebody who'd be way into Krampus.
I kind of just like Santa Claus, but that's besides the point. The scene is now at an end, and I'd like to thank both players for playing and watchers for watching, and to wish you all a happy Christmas and a happy holidays as we now end our scene. Bye-bye.